Daphne, when were you casted for the film? And
So we shot the film 3 years ago. So the casting was way back, 3.5, 4 years ago. The casting 3 years ago we shot it, and it took so much time for you to see it, and I'm really happy.
and what did Paul tell you about? Did you know already the story? Did he give you the script to read?
Yes, I mean in the beginning I just did a normal casting with the toilet scene, which it was a bit weird, and then I met him very very quickly, and he gave me the script. So I read it the night before, and when I arrived, we talked, and he showed me the storyboard with mostly the sex scenes, the nude scenes, and other scenes as well. So for me to say if I was okay with everything, I knew exactly where he would put his camera, what you will see, blah blah blah. I did a screen test also with Virginie Efira, and that was it. And I remember that I asked him when he said, he just said, "Okay, see you in the plateau." And then I said, "Okay, but maybe are we going to do any rehearsals?" He said, "You know what to do." And I thought, "Oh shit, I don't know what to do."
And did he tell you to read the book by Judith C. Brown, or not at all?
No, he really didn't tell me anything. But I read, of course, the book, which is really very interesting. It's called
Immodest Acts,
Immodest Acts,
the story of a lesbian nun in the Italian
19th
Renaissance
century,
or something.
Exactly. I know the title in French, but yeah, and the book is really interesting because when I read the script, I remember turning the pages and I was thinking, okay, there's not one normal scene. His imagination, wow. But then everything is in the book, and even worse than what you see. Except my character, Bartolomea, is we know very little thing about her, so I didn't have anything to get inspired from. So I watched his films, got stressed out, and
what does he do when he's directing? So not many rehearsals, but
no rehearsals at all. He knows everything already, where he puts his camera. It's already like he has the montage. How do you say that?
Editing.
The editing in his mind, so everything goes really, really quickly. But in the same time, he gives a lot of freedom to us, because he doesn't say anything. It's our first. We always did what we wanted to do, and then he would come and give directions. But like in the film, you never know what the characters are really thinking, what are the real motives. Even in his way of directing, it was the same. Like, for example, every time he would say something really specific, he would turn it upside down. So, for example, he would come to me and say, "You do this because you love her." And then he would leave and turn back and say, "Or maybe not." So I never knew what to do. It was always destabilizant. But I think that's what was interesting in the film and in the way he worked.
And you were working with great actors, not so Virginie Efira, but so great actors for the previous generation, like Lambert Wilson and Charlotte Rampling.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, very, very inspiring. Because Virginie, I was already very kind of in love with her, because I saw her in films, and she's so sunny. I don't know how to say that. So I was really like, wow. So it was easy to play being in love with her, because I admired her so much. And Charlotte Rampling, wow, as well. She was so focused, and no, that was really great.
And when did you see the film for the first time?
So first time I saw the film was right after the first lockdown in May 2020. Only me and Paul in a cinema. So it was weird because also it speaks about la peste.
Yes, the plague.
Yes, the plague,
It
and we
was
just-
because you did this before, and it had many different resonances.
Yeah,
at
so it
that
had
time.
many resonances with that, and I've seen it only once in Cannes. So I've seen it only
And what
twice.
was your reaction?
I cannot say. I cannot have the distance. I don't know what you thought. I think what I feel is interesting with Paul's work in general is that you cannot put the film in a specific genre. Like sometimes you feel that it's a love drama. Sometimes it has comedy stuff in it. Sometimes the line between kitsch and camp is also very thin. And every time I was thinking, okay, is this on purpose or? And I think that's what's very interesting. You cannot put it in a specific genre. Yeah, the Verhoeven genre. I don't know.
And did you to talk also about, because he has a certain obsession with religion?
He wrote a book about
Did he
Jesus.
talk with you about it?
No, I know. Yes, he told me that. Okay, now I don't know if I'm gonna say the story correctly. He wrote a book about Jesus. I don't remember the title of it. I know that he was in part of a group of people in the U.S. where they did a lot of research about Jesus. But okay, that's something he told me over a dinner. So I don't know if it's really correct, the story. But yeah, anyway, in all of his films, you have this religious aspect, even in his very first ones, like Turkish Delight, which is not at all about religion. He always puts some references.
And how do, well, this the film is, and this was a process that has been hidden for a long time, and even for the people to study it, it was very difficult, because even so the description, when we assist to the trial in the end,
yes.
and there is this person that is in charge of writing the declarations. As far as I know, it was difficult to
read it, because
even
he was
the vocabulary was a vocabulary they didn't use very often. And what do you think is the importance of doing this film and discovering these things that happened in the Italian Renaissance?
Yeah, that was very, very interesting in the book, because Judith C. Brown, who wrote the book, she was doing a research for some trial.
The trial.
But something else. And at some point, she finds a trial with the handwriting was trembling because of the descriptions of the two nuns. So the guy was trembling, and she couldn't read everything, and it caught her attention. And what was interesting at the time is that the church had no punition, no punishment for two women having a relationship, because they couldn't even imagine that this could happen. So they had to, of course, to rewrite.
Yes, at a certain
about
point,
it.
there is one of the priests who say, "No, that cannot happen."
Yes, that, of course. How could they have desire for each other? It's impossible. And what's interesting also in the book, because for me, monasteries is a closed place, and I don't know, I had some very preconceived ideas. Sorry for my English. Yes. And so in the book, what is also interesting is that at this time, the monastery was a place of revolution, because girls like my character would go there and free themselves from their father or husband, and they could in the monastery write, learn how to write, read, have relationships between them, have more fun. than in the outside world.
Okay, I think we can open now to the audience.
Good evening. If there was no questions, there's something in my mind, which is, for example, Justine's Sade, or Sade's Justine. It's not, when you read it, I don't know, you don't really feel it's that funny, and there's a lot of torture in it. So I would just like to know if you ever related, like if there was any relation with Sade's work, for example.
I haven't. Sorry, I haven't read any Sade, any of. I'm a bit ashamed to say that, but no, I haven't. I haven't read anything, but it's interesting. I will if you find that. Yes. No, but there, even for the torture scenes, there weren't any specific references. I think more where we had more of a. I mean, it's not what you answered, but then just reminded me that when we were talking about Paul about the sex scenes, for example, I remember that he just said to me, "Okay, it has to be light. It's not heavy." And what's interesting in all of his work, I feel, is that most of the times, because he's famous for having a lot of erotic scenes in his movies, but most of the times they serve something else. And I feel that here too there's some kind of comic aspect in them. I mean, it's not how funny is this, but there are some comedy touches. And for example, in Basic Instinct, there's this sex scene with Sharon Stone and Michael Douglas, and for me it's not an erotic scene at all. It's the peak of the thriller and the suspense, because you don't even look how their bodies and how they're having sex. You just wait. At what point is she going to take the ice breaker and kill him? So that's what I find interesting, that those scenes are always there to serve something else. It's not purely erotic or scopophilic or, yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations, you were great.
Thank you.
And it's visible, so I'm amazed by the movie. And something in particular just caught my attention, which was the power of women at this movie. Like of course, there's the erotic part, and I came here so naive. Like I thought, like the love of two girls inside a monastery. But in the end, it's much more than this. So we can see like the political power and the power of the women. So when you have like the abbess, and the other one, and you. Your character. Sometimes I don't know if your character will be used. Sometimes I don't know. It's like reminds me a little bit that the name of the rose also,
yes.
the Umberto Eco. But I would like to know from you, like the actress, how did you feel this? Besides the love, besides the sexual part, your character and those two women, I'm talking about like the first abbadessa and the next, which was your lover. So how do you think about it? Because your character just suspects, oh, you're lying, you're doing it, I don't know, tu es fool. Qu'est-ce que tu penses? What do you think about this relationship of power and the power in the hands of women in this area? That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, I feel what's interesting also, another aspect of the movie is that, of course, the character of the women characters are very complex, and they want power, and they do everything they can to have the power. political power, power inside the church, or power over their body and their desires. I think that my character is maybe the one that is more down to earth. It's funny because I never did since Paul didn't want to do psychological analysis about it, and we never talked about it, and it was very clear that he wasn't really interested in that. I mean, I do more of an analysis now than when I was inside doing it. But your interpretation is very interesting of it. I don't know what I would have more to ajouter, to add. Thank you. Except, yes, that they're complex women, and sometimes I feel that we miss that a little bit in cinema.
You're manipulated, sometimes you manipulate.
Yes, and it's always, I mean, all of the characters are in a thin line. You don't know the difference between what's the lie, the truth, but that's in all of his movies. I was seeing an interview of Paul, where he was saying that he grew up in the Netherlands, and at school they would, I mean, in Italy they do Italian Renaissance, they do the golden Dutch age of painting, which is Bosch, Rembrandt, where everything is kind of in between darkness and you don't understand, and like in Le Départ du Fils Prodigue of Bosch, you have this guy, leaving the house, and in the back, there's somebody pissing in the wall of his house. I mean, all these very, I don't know if it's clear, but there's always many, many, many layers and many things that, I mean, that's maybe most for the whole pipi caca stuff that are a lot very present. He was saying that because they're very present in his work, but it makes sense also with what you were saying, the many layers of the characters and what you see in Bosch and Rembrandt. He said it in a more clear way than I did. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I try to.
But there is too much physicality. Was it very difficult to shoot, to act?
It was. I mean, it was of course very, very demanding, but there were many scenes they were choreographed before. But I guess that's the only way to approach something like that, and our work, the actors' work in general, the whole body. Otherwise, it's not possible, or I cannot do it in another way.
Because you mentioned some minutes ago about Basic Instinct, and one of the shots that became more known was that last score. Yeah. If you had to choose one here, which one would it be?
If I had to choose what?
One in this film, which one would be?
One shot?
Yeah.
When the Jesus shots. When you see a Jesus is. Yeah, maybe that, I don't know, I felt it was very funny. No, if I had to choose a famous shot from this movie, yes, maybe her dreams. I very much like the dream sequences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you?
There.
Okay, it's okay. You don't have to.
You know, I saw the film in Cannes some months ago.
Okay, yeah.
For any further questions? There.
Hi. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Verhoeven. So, for you, what was more interesting when you were presented the idea of working with him, or the general idea of the movie? Or would you feel that it would be as interesting if it wasn't directed by Verhoeven?
For sure. First of all, it's just the director. With somebody else, it would be a completely different film. I mean, of course, the thematic, the theme and the story is very, very interesting. But how Verhoeven sees it, and it's always interesting to see how a director is going to tell the story and where he's going to put his camera. If he's going to take distance with everything, if he's going to be with his characters. And I had seen many of. For me, it was Verhoeven, so I would say yes to anything, because I knew that he would have a very interesting gaze in any subject.
He never changes, he never decides to change the place where he puts the camera?
Yes, I remember that, first of all, I heard at some point, he was asking a lot of people, he would say, at some point I heard him say to somebody, shooting is a democratic procedure. And he was really asking everybody their opinion. So he would go to the makeup artist and say, okay, what do you think about the lights here? Or even me, he would ask me something about the set decoration. And I would be like, I don't know, you're Paul Verhoeven, just don't ask me. But he would, and it was not fake. He genuinely wanted people's opinion. I forgot the question.
But if he ever hesitates in
yes,
the place
if it changes.
and changes where
Yes.
he places the camera.
I remember that at some point we were doing the first a love scene, sex scene, and he put his camera, and the DOP went at some place, and he went behind the monitor, and he watched and said, no, because he couldn't see the image. I don't know, for him it was, and I was here watching with him. We shot it and then we see it again. He was like, no, it doesn't work. It's too, I don't know what was, for me it was okay. But I don't know, I think he felt that it was too, how do you say, scopophilic? You say that?
Yes.
Like, and then they changed it. They put it a little bit, I don't know, in another place. That was, I didn't feel the difference. But for him it was, he said that it's, okay, now we're more with the girls. So I'm talking a lot about the sex scenes because I had a lot of discussions. It's a very small part of the film, but since many people talked to me about it, I had to think and I have the impression, what I felt by him doing with watching this is that he wanted to be more with them. And in the whole film, you feel what the girls feel. He's accompanying them in their emotions. So I was not uncomfortable, for example, watching those scenes. Whereas sometimes a director you can be fully clothed and not even do sex scenes, but it can be uncomfortable somehow, the place a director puts his camera and how he films you.
And
I don't know if it makes sense.
You said you didn't rehearse at all, and did he make many takes or?
No, he wouldn't. We were doing 1-2 takes. Mm-hmm. Because, and what was very difficult for me was that he knew so much his montage,
the editing,
that inside the scene we would just he would put his camera, and then he knew that from this angle he only needed the middle of the scene, the moment we say, oh, okay, so he would do action, oh, okay, cut. And then it was that small. And then he would put his camera there, and we would do the beginning, and then there, and just a part of the end. So it was very, everything was very cut. It was very difficult for the continuity. And at some point we said, okay, is it possible to leave us a little, just to run the scene most in its continuity. He said, okay, okay. And then I saw him, he was behind the combo. He had his earphones off. He would say, action. We would do the scene, blah, blah, blah. And then when the seconds he wanted for his montage, for his editing arrived, he would do, watch, then take it off, leave us continue, and then say, cut. But he would watch and hear only the 3 seconds he needed for his editing.
And did he ever change the lines, or just the lines that were in the script, you had to follow them
No,
strictly?
we could. We were very free to improvise, and even with the movements.
And they
to
accept
propose.
that? And,
Yes, we were very free to propose anything we wanted. And then he would come and maybe adjust. But we were very much part of the creative process.
So you shot in 2018, and the film
Yes.
was only seen for the first time
Yes.
in 2021 because of the pandemic. How was this? Because this was one of the most expected films
Yes.
of the year. How did you live that, or you just forgot and then?
Oh no,
when
I
it comes-
didn't. It was torture. No, of course there are other things more important than films in life, but yes, I was sad. But I'm happy now.
Okay, then thanks a lot,
Thank
Daphne.
you. Thank
you a
you.
lot.